Yo, it is been some time, but we back and we back at it. And I got my goals. I ain't gonna say it. I'm gonna just deliver. You know what they say, right? Under promise, over deliver. But listen, it is fun to be back. How y'all been, man? Happy New Year. I hope you guys are doing good. You know, let me know what's different. Some people I know been moving. Some people having kids. Me, I'm about to have another kid in a couple weeks. That's exciting. But I was like, listen, you know what? No matter what, got to get back to the podcast. Got to go back to being a little bit more consistent with the content. So here we are. We doing what we doing, man. You know, I missed you guys, and you know, it's been fun. It's been fun, man. But again, we back at it. But listen, so the topic for today has been such a fun one. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Cells Jean-Pierre Jr., but I go by Cells. Cells Speaks for the podcast. We've been doing this for a good old minute now. I'm glad you're here. If you haven't before, you know what I mean? Like the video, subscribe so that you don't miss any more great content that we got coming up. We're going to be bringing in more guests, more podcasts on a consistent schedule. And you don't want to miss it because I like to talk about the fun stuff. And so I think this episode is going to be a fun one because it's almost a month into the year, right? And some of us have been doing all the things that we said we would do going into the new year, working out every day, eating healthy, you know, making good, solid decisions, you know, just doing all the things that we said we was going to do. And some of us have been struggling a little bit. And so I think the good part of this is like, you know, we're going to go past just resolutions and commitments that we make for the year. Because I think the problem that sometimes people make is you make all these promises, you can say do all these things, but there's a very key ingredient that you're missing. And without that ingredient, everything starts to fall apart. And so I started off with this question. If you look at yourself right now, and you look at who you are as a person, and we're assuming that there's a level of self-awareness here. You look at who you are as a person, you look at the things that you're doing, how you live your life, when you wake up, what you eat, when you go to sleep, are you disciplined, are you not disciplined? When you examine yourself, are you right now the person that can achieve the things that you want to achieve? So when you look at how you are living your life right now, when you look at the decisions that you're making, are you the person that will achieve that? Okay, so just to clarify, it's like you say you want to be in shape. Well, the way you're living right now, do you make healthy decisions with your food? Are you working out consistently? Are you making sure that what you put into your body is healthy and is good for you? Are you getting proper rest, proper nutrition? You know what I mean? Is the habits that you have now, or is the character traits that you have now, the traits that a person who is in shape would have? Because the reality is, if you don't have the traits, or if you are not the person that would achieve the goals that you have, the reality is that you're not going to achieve those goals. So on my Instagram, I had asked people, I was like, you know, when you think about it, and we can kind of pull up the results right now. So I said, you know, when you think about it, right, are you the person right now who could achieve the goals that you have? And so this is how I asked it. I said, are you willing to change yourself in order to achieve your dreams? And I think that's something people don't think about, because a lot of times we think we can go through life and I'm going to be me, I'm going to stick to who I want to be, but not realizing like the things that you truly want in life, each thing requires different things of you. For example, like if you want to be a good football player, being peaceful and passive probably isn't going to really work as much as you would like it to. You know, most athletes, good ones, are able to tap into a level of aggression and be aggressive and violent at times if the sport calls for it. So if you're a person who wants to be peaceful and kind and sweet and kind of dance through the flowers and the lilies, like you won't have the character traits needed in order to succeed. You know, you think about also, you know, again, if you're in a field that deals with public scrutiny, you know, again, we can stick with the athletes. If you're not a person who deals with criticism very well, if you want to succeed in that field, you need to learn to become better at criticism, or your weakness at dealing with criticism will in essence destroy you. And so if you think about it, every single thing that you want to achieve in life requires certain characteristics or traits. And it may not be things that you're born with, but it's definitely things that you can grow in. And so that's why I was asking people, are you willing to change yourself in order to achieve your dreams? And the beautiful part is 92% of everybody say, yes, I'll do that. And so the second question I asked was, okay, is the person that you are now the person capable of achieving your dreams? And so 60% of people were like, yeah, I just need some time and consistency. I am that person right now. And with time and consistency, I'll get there. And 40% were like, no, I have to change some things about me. And I love this. You know, I mean, we have a good amount of people voting and, you know, kind of stating where they stand on it. And I think the fun part about this is that it requires you to self-examine, right? And kind of look at yourself, which I think is super important. And you have to really take a second to ask yourself, like, am I really the person that can achieve my goals? Like I say that I want to become a millionaire. Is who I am right now a person capable of becoming a millionaire? Or do I have habits and traits that really ain't gonna achieve that? And I think that becomes super important, because when you start making commitments and you start setting goals that are outside of your character, you know, you talk about, okay, I want to lose 30, 40 pounds, but you have no interest in being disciplined with food at all. But you want to lose 20 pounds in a month. But you never want to be disciplined with what you want to eat. You want to eat whatever you want. You don't even want to work out. How could it happen? Unless you do something the wrong way, you take shortcuts or something, maybe. But the reality is, it's like there's no way around it. Like, you don't become better at an instrument if you don't sit down and really take the time to practice, take the time to listen to criticism by teachers, and grow and work at your craft. And so really, when it comes down to it, it is, what are you really willing to do to achieve your dreams? And so using myself, for example, like I always wanted a marriage I had never really seen. You know, the marriage that I envisioned in my mind when I got married, I envisioned a marriage where, you know, my wife is my best friend and we're able to talk. We can talk about the hard things. You know, we have a great relationship. It's fun. You know, of course, we have our conflict, but we deal with our conflict properly. That was the type of marriage I wanted. And I quickly learned that in order to achieve that type of marriage, I as a person have to change, because I have some qualities and traits about myself that go against achieving that dream. So for example, like, you know, me growing up in a very critical environment, I can be very quick to give criticism unsolicited, unasked. And if you're in a relationship, you'll learn very quickly that, you know, criticism is not something that can be very welcomed in relationships, you know, especially if it's, I don't want to say often, but especially if it's more than the person is willing to tolerate. And to make the matter even more interesting, my wife is not really someone who likes or cares for criticism like that. And so it's like, okay, well, if I want to achieve the type of relationship that I'm looking for with my wife, I have to change in some ways. And so now changing doesn't necessarily mean losing myself. It doesn't mean that I can't point out when something is right or wrong, but maybe, or not maybe, the goal then becomes, okay, if what you're saying is beneficial and if what you're saying is good, then how you say it needs to improve. The intentions are there. You want the best for this person. You want this person to grow. So now you just have to repackage it a little bit differently. But for me to even get to this point, I have to be willing and desiring to change. You know, even before I got married, you know, when I went into that moment of being celibate and I trusted God and I said, all right, God, you lead me whatever direction you want to lead me in. Well, that direction led me to being celibate for 5 years, and I changed in that time. And I dropped bad qualities that I shouldn't have had, and I gained good ones that I needed that have kept me even till now in marriage. I was willing to change. So you really have to ask yourself, like, are you willing to change to achieve your goals? Look at your life right now. And I'll tell you this, a lot of people said that who they are right now is fine. They just need time and consistency. And maybe that's very true. But take a look at the fruit of your life. Are you on an upward trend? Okay, you said that your goal is to become a millionaire and you have all the traits to become a millionaire. You just need time and consistency. So if we go back 5 years, let's say you started at 1,000, that means that you should be higher at this point. So if you 5 years ago at 1,000, I would hope at least 5 years later you've hit 50, 100,000. If your goal is to hit a millionaire within 5 years, let's say your income was, $10,000 a year, and then it went up to $30,000 a year, then it should go up to 75. So in theory, if you have the traits, you're constantly moving upward. But if in year 1 you were making 25,000, in year 2 you're making 25,000, and now year 5 you're making 25,000 with no new product, no new invention, no new business that you're starting or pushing forward, how exactly are you going to achieve the million? There's no progression. And I think that's the fun part about it. It's that you don't have to argue with anybody. When you look at what your life looks like, it will give you the fruits of it. You don't have to debate with someone if you're healthy or if they're healthy or not. You'll be able to see it by the decisions that they make, the type of foods that they eat. How often are they exercising? How do they take care of their body? You don't even have to really talk. Sometimes you can just see it. And the implication is not, everyone who's big, is not take care of themselves, because of course, some people have medical conditions. But I will say, we're talking about the exceptions to the rule, because the majority of people who are overweight is because of poor decisions. Yes, you have your exceptions, but the majority is because of poor decisions, eating improperly, eating bad food consistently, not exercising, not working out. And then, let's kind of move on from working out and let's look at relationships. You talk about young men who want to be married, young women who want to be married. Well, who you are right now, would that be a person that would be able to sustain a successful relationship, a marriage? Is the way you are right now someone who has the traits to be successfully married? Not married, I mean successfully married. Because if you're still argumentative and you never want to listen, or you never want to hear, and everything is all about you and your individualism, and you don't believe you can compromise at all, those character traits will not work in marriage at all. If you're a young man or a young woman who you're not sexually disciplined at all, anytime you don't get your way, you run to the next person to get whatever that you want. You're manipulative. You are undisciplined sexually, which I kind of said before, and you just kind of everywhere. Like, what will make you think that a person with those type of traits would be able to have a successful marriage? It's not going to work. And that's why, like, for me, kind of when I look at relationships and I see people getting married, I can kind of tell, like, okay, what will work, what probably won't work, because I'm just looking at the person's traits, their habits. What do they do? How have they been? How do they carry themselves? How do they operate? And you can kind of just tell, like, based on the traits that you have, unless you really take time to work on it and do something about it, you're not going to get the things that you want. It's just not going to happen. As much as you want it to, it's not going to happen. Again, going back to, piano, I've spent a majority of my life playing piano and becoming a successful musician. And I've also had the honor of teaching and building up a lot of young musicians who are coming up. And I can tell with my students, the ones that will be good and the ones that won't, because I know what the traits of success are. I know what the traits of a good pianist are. The traits of a good pianist is one who listens to instruction. If I say, hey, learn to practice things slowly, they immediately adjust, and whatever they're working on, they do it slowly. If I say work on small sections, they'll do that. It's the ones who pay attention to details. It's not just me playing notes. It's me playing the notes with the right rhythms, with the right articulation, with the right touch, with the right dynamics, with the right understanding of what the composer was trying to express in the music, and taking all of this information, personalizing it, and performing it at the highest level that I can. Being able to take criticism, knowing when to be kind to myself, but also knowing when to be tough. Being disciplined to be able to prioritize practice. So that means that I could have, watched my favorite show or sports game, but I'm willing to sacrifice these things to sit down on the instrument and practice. These are the things that is required in a person in order to get good at piano. That's what it requires. You can't catch every show and play every single video game and entertain in every single vice and get better at playing piano. Why? Because playing piano also requires time, focus, and energy. And so you have to ask yourself, if your goal is, I want to become a better piano player, well, do you have the traits and the character for it? Are you willing to turn down a party to instead stay home and practice? Are you willing to say, I really wanted to play this game, or I really don't want to watch this basketball game, but I'm going to put an hour in practice instead? If you're not willing to do that, you're not going to become the pianist that you were hoping you thought you'd be. No, it requires what it requires, and there's no way around it. And so my challenge to you all is, take a moment and just look at all of the things that you want in your life. Get a piece of paper. And I'm actually about to do this afterwards, actually. And we can do one together. So one of my goals, I would say, is, let me see. So I want to grow even closer to God, right? And so I have to ask myself, okay, is the character that I have right now, is the traits that I have, is the habits that I am pushing, one that will allow me to achieve my goal? And the reality is, the way I want to get closer to God, I have to change as a person, because it's like I've been allowing life to kind of dictate what I do or don't do. I don't want to wake up early because these kids going to wake me up even earlier. Let me catch extra sleep. A new baby is coming. And it's like I'm just making excuses when I really shouldn't be making excuses. And so now you realize, okay, well, if I want this, it's going to require me to make the time and stick to the time, to be disciplined, to make room. It means that I'm willing to sacrifice my distractions. Instead of maybe watching the end of a game before I go to sleep, I start dedicating the last 30 minutes of my day to reading the Bible and prayer. I make it a point to memorize a Bible verse every week. That's the person I have to be if I want to achieve my goal of growing closer to God. I'll keep going. If I want my marriage to be what I really want it to be, I will have to learn how to speak with even more love and even more understanding. And I'll have to grow at communicating effectively. That's what it requires. There are certain skills in communication, in listening and understanding that I haven't mastered yet. There are certain skills in expressing myself, expressing my frustrations, how valid they may be, but I can get much better at expressing it the right way. And I could say, that's just me. Take me as I am. It is what it is. But the reality is that if I want the type of relationship and marriage that I really am aiming for, I have to change. And if I don't, I will never achieve it. And I could try to find as many shortcuts, and I could try and be upset about it and try to cheat the system as much as I can. But no matter what it is, I have to become that person. So my challenge to you all is to write down the things that you want to achieve. You want to make more money. You want to become a cook. You want to be more disciplined. You want to lose weight. You want to get your business going. You want to get your content, whatever it is. You know what I mean? You finally want to do a business doing your craft. Okay, now ask yourself, what person do I need to be in order to make that happen? Do I need to be an organized person? Do I need to be a consistent person? Do I need to be a person who asks other people questions? Do I need to be friendlier? Do I need to have less of an attitude? If you are in sales and you want to make more money, you have to be friendlier. You have to learn how to be more persuasive. If you want to be a good mother or a good father, you have to learn to be more patient. You have to be more attentive and thoughtful. If you want to be a good lover, you have to be more responsive. You have to be more observant. You have to be more patient. You have to be more curious. So if you have to really think about the things that you want in your life and ask yourself, what kind of person must I grow into in order to get those things? Because if you were those things already, you probably have what you wanted, but you don't. And so whatever it is that you want that you don't have, it means you're not the person to get it yet. Just using a quick example of people who win the lottery, that becomes the issue when you get something that your character is not built for. They get all this money, but they haven't learned how to make the money. They've never learned how to manage that money because they never scaled it level to level. So you just dump them in a whole bunch of money. And because they're not prepared for it and they're not ready for it, most of them lose it or destroy their lives. Very few of them make the money grow. Most of them lose it because their character wasn't one of a person that would ever get that kind of money. So don't let that be you. Don't hit the jackpot. Don't win the lottery, but not have the character to maintain or maximize or continue to grow that blessing. Grow into the person. Become the person. Grow the traits. Again, take a piece of paper. Write down the things that you want to be, the things that you want to achieve. And ask yourself, what kind of person do I have to be to get those things? And if you're not sure what kind of person, look at other people who have achieved that. Look at other people who have achieved what you want. What do they do? What do they read? Where do they go? Who do they hang out with? How do they speak? It doesn't mean you lose yourself entirely, but we can always pull. We can always pull from others. That's how we grow. We see things in others that we like. We see people who have some of the things or who have achieved the things that we want to achieve, and we take from it. You see it in athletes all the time. Great basketball players, the greatest basketball players have always been able to shoot, have always been able to defend, have always been able to handle the ball. And so that's why a lot of the greatest players can shoot, defend, pass the ball. Yeah, they all do it at different levels, but the ones we consider like the top guys all can do it at a high level. So you have to ask yourself, okay, who is doing what I want? I want to become a millionaire. How do you want to become a millionaire? I want to become a millionaire playing piano, writing songs. Okay, well, what millionaires do you know that became millionaires by playing piano and writing songs? Such and such person. Okay, what do they do? When do they wake up? How often do they study? What don't they do? Where do they go? What can I pull to add to me? And if you can do that, then yeah. If you can take these and allow it to grow your character, then you'll definitely achieve the things that you're looking for. So, I love you guys. I really want to see you all succeed. Please take some time to really do that. And if you have more, hey, hit me in the DMs on Instagram or shoot me on the comments on YouTube. It's been fun as always. Listen again, if you haven't, like, subscribe, share this with your friends, share this with people who need to see it. And if you got to watch this again, watch it again. I really want to see you guys win, and not just win, but just grow and become consistent winners. Not just have a moment, but a lifestyle of just winning in every aspect in life. So again, are you the person right now who can achieve and get the things that you want? And if you're not, learn what the character traits you need are to become the person that achieves the stuff that you need. Look at other examples of people, add that to your character. Grow, change in a good way to achieve your goals. I'm not saying lose yourself, but change in a good way to achieve the things that you want. So I appreciate you guys, man. We got more fun episodes coming up, so just stay tuned. Thank you for your time. Thank you for support. I love you guys. All right, till next time. Self Speaks.